He was the golden boy of Britain's most famous family until he wasn't. Brooklyn Beckham had it all. A famous last name. A football legend for a father. A Spice Girl turned designer for a mother. And a wedding to a billionaire heiress that was supposed to unite two powerful dynasties. But now, the picture-perfect family has shattered, and Brooklyn? He's not speaking to his parents. Sources say he's cut them off completely. No calls. No visits. Not even a post on his dad's 50th birthday. And the craziest part? It's not just about a wedding dress, a hot sauce business, or a tattoo. This is a story about control, about legacy, about a silent war between two of the most image-obsessed families on Earth. So, what really went wrong between Brooklyn Beckham and his parents? And how did Nicola Peltz, the woman he married, end up at the center of one of the messiest family feuds in celebrity history? Grab your tea, because this drama spans Miami mansions, London parties, and a royal knighthood that might go down without the Beckhams' firstborn by their side. At first glance, Brooklyn and Nicola's love story looked like a fairy tale. A whirlwind romance, a $100 million Palm Beach engagement, and a wedding that screamed luxury from every angle. But behind the glamour was a growing rift, one that quietly pitted the Beckhams against the Peltzes. Brooklyn, once the quiet, sensitive son of two global icons, began leaning more into the world of his in-laws, billionaire investor Nelson Peltz and his wife Claudia, known for pulling strings behind major empires like Wendy's and Disney. Suddenly, Brooklyn wasn't just the Beckham kid anymore. He was part of a power family with deep American roots and even deeper pockets. And with that shift came tension. Sources say Brooklyn started distancing himself from David and Victoria, appearing more at Peltz family events, echoing Nicola's branding, and even letting her family's lawyers guide major life decisions. And while the Beckhams publicly smiled for the cameras, insiders say they were watching their son slowly slip away, trading one brand name for another. But this divide didn't begin with business deals or media strategy. According to those close to the family, it started long before the wedding, even before the engagement. And what happened next? It turned a dream wedding into a full-blown family Cold War. Weddings are meant to bring families together, but in the Beckham-Peltz saga, it did the exact opposite. Victoria Beckham had reportedly offered to design Nicola's wedding gown, a symbolic gesture that should have bridged two worlds. But somewhere between the sketchbook and the aisle, that offer fell apart. Nicola ultimately walked down the aisle in a Valentino haute couture gown, not Victoria's. To the public, it looked like a bride choosing a high-fashion designer over her future mother-in-law. But behind the scenes, it felt personal. Insiders from the Peltz camp claimed Victoria pulled out last minute, not by telling Nicola, but by calling Claudia, Nicola's mom. This left Nicola scrambling for a new dress just months before the wedding, jetting to Rome 3 times to meet with the Valentino team. Her stylist and mother were by her side. Victoria was not. It sparked the first major rumor of a feud. Was Nicola snubbing Victoria's fashion label? Or had Victoria quietly distanced herself from the wedding? Nicola tried to put out the fire, telling Variety the atelier couldn't do it, but the tension had already taken hold. And then came the reception. When singer Mark Anthony, a close friend of the Beckhams, took the stage, guests expected him to honor the bride. Instead, he turned to Victoria, called her the most beautiful woman in the room, and brought her on stage to dance with Brooklyn. Nicola broke down in tears and ran from the party. Her big day, covered by Vogue, had just been overshadowed by the very woman she'd tried so hard to please. She eventually returned, but her smile was gone. That moment, a mother-in-law's spotlight stealing the bride's, was the one she reportedly never forgave. But the dress drama was just the beginning. What happened after the wedding would push Brooklyn further from his parents and closer to a family who had their own agenda. After the wedding, things didn't calm down, they escalated. Behind closed doors, the Beckhams were in the middle of a massive business deal, one that involved selling a major stake in David's brand management company for over $269 million. But that deal came with strings and signatures. Brooklyn, now part of one of the most powerful families in America, was asked to sign a legal agreement. According to the Beckham camp, the contract was standard: It simply ensured that Brooklyn's rights to the Beckham name wouldn't get tangled in commercial partnerships. But insiders close to the Peltz family tell a different story. They say Victoria made a direct call to Brooklyn, telling him, "Daddy has a very big deal. You need to sign this contract." Brooklyn refused. He'd just married into the billionaire Peltz dynasty, and sources claim he had new legal advisors, ones who didn't trust the Beckham side. Whether it was misunderstanding or mistrust, the damage was done. Brooklyn began pulling away from his old team and his own parents. Some say the refusal was symbolic, a way of showing that he was no longer just Brand Beckham. Others believe he was being shielded, even manipulated, by his new inner circle. According to Beckham sources, the contract was never meant to restrict him. No one would ever limit Brooklyn, one insider claimed. It was to protect him. But the moment passed, the papers remained unsigned, and the silence between the families began to stretch. By this point, Brooklyn wasn't just changing his legal stance, he was changing his identity. He dropped the Beckham name from his business, Cloud 23, and focused on building a brand without the family that built his fame.
Anyway, right, we're going to try the sweet jalapeno first.
But the contract controversy was just the tip of the iceberg. The real heartbreak was still to come, and it would show just how deep the divide had grown. For years, Brooklyn Beckham proudly wore his heart on his sleeve. Or rather, over his heart. A bold tattoo that read, "Mama's Boy," had always symbolized his close bond with Victoria. But when fans recently noticed the ink was mysteriously hidden beneath a bouquet of flowers, modeled after Nicola's bridal arrangement, speculation exploded.
Brooklyn Beckham got a tattoo covered up that did say "Mama's Boy."
Had he covered it up? To some, it looked like a quiet, permanent goodbye to the woman who raised him. Others, including friends of Brooklyn, insisted the tattoo wasn't removed, just concealed by new art. But in the world of celebrity, symbolism matters. And this change didn't go unnoticed. It wasn't just about ink. Insiders say Brooklyn had become visibly more distant, less connected to his old life. The son who once leaned on his mom for guidance was now leaning into a new world, one dominated by the Peltz empire. Nicola and Brooklyn's decision to move to Los Angeles put even more space, emotional and physical, between him and his family. And while the Beckhams made public efforts to support him, from investing in his hot sauce business to posing for launch photos, the warmth seemed one-sided. Even Victoria's team noticed a shift. Despite Nicola wearing a Victoria Beckham bustier and trousers to her movie premiere in a gesture of goodwill, the tension didn't ease. In fact, it only deepened. It was clear something had changed. And the next event, one meant to reunite the entire family, would only confirm how wide the rift had grown. Milestone birthdays are meant to bring families closer, but David Beckham's 50th did the exact opposite. According to multiple insiders, David spent 6 months planning a series of heartfelt celebrations, a fishing trip in Scotland with his sons, a family gathering in the Cotswolds, a low-key birthday day with loved ones, and a final glamorous dinner at the exclusive London restaurant, Core. Invitations were sent out. Brooklyn and Nicola were included in everything. But something was off. Despite being in London during the celebrations, Brooklyn and Nicola didn't show up to a single event. Their reason? They were flying to New York for Nicola's Met Gala dress fitting. But Page 6 confirmed what fans had suspected. They were never even invited to the Core dinner. And the reason why? Sources suggest it wasn't the dress fitting. It was the fallout with Brooklyn's younger brother, Romeo. Apparently, Brooklyn felt uncomfortable being around Romeo because of a previous romantic link to Romeo's then-girlfriend, Kim Turnbull. While Kim denied anything ever happened, the tension between the brothers was undeniable, and it spilled into David's birthday plans. The result? A painfully empty seat at the family's biggest celebration of the year. To the Beckhams, the absence stung. Not just because their eldest son missed out, but because it was one more sign of how far apart they'd grown. And behind the scenes, the situation was only getting messier. But the drama didn't end with the birthday. What happened next would involve celebrity lawyers, accusations of manipulation, and a media circus that neither family could fully control. As the whispers turned into headlines and family texts gave way to tabloid leaks, both the Beckhams and the Peltzes took their next steps, not with heart-to-hearts, but with legal teams. In a surprising move that caught everyone's attention, Brooklyn and Nicola hired none other than Jenny Affia, the same powerhouse lawyer who represented Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in their war against the press. The message was clear. They weren't just trying to protect their privacy. They were preparing for battle. According to a Peltz insider, the couple had simply had enough. Rumors, toxic abuse, and what they saw as deliberate misrepresentations of events had become too much to ignore. So, they turned to Schillings, one of the UK's most elite law firms, to begin dismantling what they viewed as a carefully crafted media campaign against them. But the Beckhams? They weren't backing down either. Their inner circle fired back, claiming they'd done nothing but support Brooklyn and Nicola. From publicly gushing over his hot sauce brand to hosting a special London screening for Nicola's directorial debut Lola, the Beckhams say they've bent over backward to make their daughter-in-law feel included. To them, the constant criticism felt less like hurt feelings and more like an intentional smear campaign, one that wasn't based on facts, but emotion and manipulation. This constant and willful misrepresentation of events to throw toxic abuse at the Beckhams is becoming very tedious, said one source close to the family. Still, the signs of the fracture were impossible to ignore. Brooklyn's Mama's Boy tattoo, once a heartfelt tribute to Victoria, now appears covered by flowers in recent photos. A coincidence? A redesign? Or a quiet erasure of the past? The truth depends on who you ask. But perhaps the most telling moment is still ahead. David Beckham is expected to be knighted, a crowning achievement of a decades-long career. And now, all eyes are. Behind every teary wedding moment and awkward family photo lies a much bigger clash, not just between people, but between empires. Because this was never just a family feud. It was the collision of two global brands, Brand Beckham, carefully built over decades of football glory and pop culture polish, and Dynasty Peltz, American billionaires with serious power and influence. David and Victoria have spent years shaping their public image with precision. From David's grooming empire and Inter-Miami ambitions to Victoria's high-fashion reinvention, everything the Beckhams do is about control, curation, and keeping the brand intact. So when Brooklyn, the heir to that empire, refused to sign a contract protecting the Beckham name, insiders say it wasn't just a paperwork issue. It was about loyalty, identity, control. But on the other side, the Peltz family has influence money can't buy. Nelson Peltz is a billionaire boardroom titan, someone who's gone toe-to-toe with Disney itself. And Nicola? She's not just an actress. She's part of a legacy that includes business moves, media connections, and legal firepower most families can't touch. So, when the Beckhams extended invites, or made public statements, or hosted events for Nicola, were they trying to show love or manage optics? And when Nicola pushed back, hired top lawyers, and distanced herself, was it rebellion, or a defense against being swallowed by another powerful brand? Insiders on both sides paint different pictures. To one, Brooklyn and Nicola are victims of media spin and manipulation. To the other, they're the ones stirring the pot, rewriting history to suit their narrative. But through all the back and forth, one thing is clear. This isn't just a story about in-laws who don't get along. It's about legacy. It's about whose version of the truth gets told. And it's about what happens when family ties get tangled in billion-dollar branding. In the end, this isn't just the story of a wedding dress or a missed birthday dinner. It's a revealing look at what happens when fame, family, and fortune collide. Brooklyn Beckham grew up under the global spotlight, the golden boy of one of Britain's most beloved couples. But marrying into America's billionaire elite didn't just give him a new last name, it gave him a new world, a new identity, and a new set of allegiances. Was it love that pulled him away from his parents, or pressure? Are the Beckhams protecting their son, or protecting their brand? And did Nicola Peltz disrupt the Beckham dynasty, or simply refuse to be absorbed by it? Both sides claim they're misunderstood. Both believe they're acting out of love. But with every public appearance, every missing invitation, and every reshared rumor, the distance between them only grows. As David Beckham prepares to be knighted and Nicola and Brooklyn retreat further into the Peltz circle, the once tight family seems more fractured than ever. And maybe the most heartbreaking part? No matter how rich, powerful, or famous a family is, no one's immune to feeling like an outsider. Whether Brooklyn shows up at his father's knighthood or not, one thing is certain. This feud isn't about headlines anymore. It's personal, and the scars might last longer than the spotlight ever will.